We are now being told that the United States can never go back. But what does this mean? Well, what I can tell you is that American lives are officially on the line. What we know is that the Biden administration came out and they were very firm. They support Israel. They support Israel in their right to defend itself. They support the Palestinian people. They support the American people, U.S. troops, at home and abroad. Right? They support many things. But here's where things get very interesting. President Biden has made it very clear that he supports Israel. But at the same time, there are more and more leaders across the world that are asking President Biden to step forward and get Israel to agree to a ceasefire, because they are killing thousands and thousands of people, innocent civilians. But here's where things get very interesting. Experts say President Biden and the Biden administration were very firm that they support Israel, and they do support their right to say that no, they would not agree to a ceasefire. But because of that, and because of all the noise that's going on around the world and in the United States as well. For instance, there's a rally today in Washington, D.C. And because of all this noise that's going on, because of all these protests and rallies and just people that are concerned, the Biden administration, according to experts, is now reconsidering their stance. But this is where experts also say that the Biden administration cannot go back. They can never go back. They said that they agree and that they stand with Israel. You have to stick with it. So here's where things, again, get very interesting. The Biden administration, and specifically President Biden himself, has stated that if Iran attacks U.S. troops, whether it's on U.S. soil or not, if Iran attacks a military base, then they will have to face the consequences. There will be repercussions. Now, what those repercussions are, we don't know, but this is why some are saying that American lives are on the line. Because if the Biden administration decides that Israel has done enough, they're going to come in and not condone what Israel's doing now. And they're going to say Israel needs to stop. And President Biden is going to go after Netanyahu. This is going to put everything else into question. And this is why experts say that the Biden administration can't go back, can never go back. Because if it does, Iran's going to question what President Biden is willing or even able to do. China is going to question what President Biden is willing or able to do. Right? All these other countries are now going to question what we can do here in the United States. Don't forget Russia. Russia has been left out of a lot of these discussions lately. They've gone pretty quiet. They're not, back to normal, and this is something that's going to take a while. But Russia has been pretty quiet. And according to multiple reports, Russia is just sitting back and waiting, seeing what the United States is doing, seeing what other countries are doing. They're going to pick their moments. And this, again, is why experts say we can never go back. If we take a soft stance now, this is going to hurt us for years to come. This is going to cause, potentially, American lives to be lost. Now, I don't want to come on here and say that everything's just going under, right? The Biden administration is doing everything wrong. Now, that's up for you guys to decide. But here's what I know. Right now, the one thing that has to happen here in the United States is we have to have a government funding bill. We need to pass this bill in the next 3 days. By the end of business day on Friday, so 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have to have a new government funding bill for fiscal year 2024, or we need a stopgap. What is expected to happen and what Democrats are looking at with Republicans today is, will there be enough support for Speaker Mike Johnson's laddered continuing resolution? If there's enough support, that would be good news, because again, like experts are saying, we cannot go back. We can never go back. And if we do not pass a government funding bill, we would see many different agencies in the United States government, they would shut down. We'd see millions of people furloughed. We'd see the United States GDP take a hit. Our credit rating, again, probably take a hit. Okay, all these things are going to happen, and we're going to start going backwards. The United States economy is now starting to get to that point where some are saying we can get out of this. We can get out of this mess. Inflation remained flat over the last month. It's now at 3.2%. Okay, that's good news that it's now at 3.2%. It's not going higher. It's not into the 4%. That's good news there. If the economy can get back on track, that would be great news. But many firmly believe that the United States is in a vulnerable place right now because of all the excess spending that we've agreed to over the past few years, but also the lack of additional revenue. This is also one of the reasons why some are concerned that if we don't pass this government funding bill, this is going to cause many different countries to stop investing with us. This is going to cause the American people to have a lack of confidence in our government. And right now, that's not what we need. We need a strong government. We need somebody people in place that are willing to make the tough calls. Now, here's the other thing. According to a couple reports this morning, we are now hearing that if this government funding bill or a government funding bill doesn't pass, because Republicans want this to pass, Democrats want this to pass, I think every single person wants a government funding bill to keep the government funded for a little bit longer. There are some holdouts that say they want to ensure that our government funding bill is reduced by 10 to 30%. That's pretty substantial. But here's the thing. In a couple reports this morning, they are now saying that if Speaker Mike Johnson doesn't get a government funding bill passed, even a short-term stopgap bill, then he would lose the confidence of his party, and ultimately he could lose his speakership. Get this. If we see a temporary stopgap bill for 3 months, right, until January, the middle of January, and then the beginning of February, this is the laddered continuing resolution. If this were to happen, what is the good news is, okay, we get something done and the government is funded for a little bit longer. The bad news is there's going to be many people that are going to come after Speaker Mike Johnson because he doesn't agree to a substantial government spending cut. So because of that, they are saying that if we don't see a bill, or if we do see a bill and it's not what the majority of Republicans want, they could come after him. They could attempt to remove him as a speaker. And get this, Democrats would be okay with that. Because if Republicans remove Speaker Mike Johnson from the speakership and that speaker role, this is going to be the second time Republicans have removed a person that they have chosen from the speakership. That's going to look bad when it comes to the presidential election in 2024. So, this is all a possibility. We could see this new speaker, Speaker Mike Johnson, lose the speakership. Now, if this were to happen, this is where experts say it is going to put the United States in the middle of all this chaos because we wouldn't have a speaker, we'd have to negotiate another government funding bill, and all while the world is looking at the United States and trying to figure out what its next move is for both Israel and Gaza and potentially Ukraine. So, experts say the United States can't go back. We have to continue to move forward even if the decisions that we made in the past are not what we would make now or in the future. So, that's what we know as of right now. Again, as I know more, I promise I'll come back on and share all the latest news and updates, but that is what we know at this time. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing. I'll see you guys on the next one.